to the legal landscape. Our legal analyst, attorney Dan Adams, joins us every Monday to break down the biggest cases happening across Wisconsin and the country. Dan, good morning to you. One of the biggest cases that's happening in the country right now is happening right here in Milwaukee. The FBI arresting a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge Friday. Federal investigators say Judge Hannah Dugan helped an undocumented migrant avoid immigration agents who were trying to arrest him there in the courthouse. So, Dan, what has the reaction been to this arrest, not only in the courthouse but the legal community as well?
Sure. Hey, good morning, buddy. Yeah, the reaction has been huge, really unprecedented insofar as all of my colleagues are talking about this. Really, people are talking of nothing else. Both courthouse type lawyers and legal community writ large. And lawyers across the country have been contacting me to ask my opinion about this. Now, the sentiment seems to be divided even among lawyers, whether or not they believe the charge is even warranted. People who are supporters of the President Trump and his immigration policies seem to think it is warranted. More liberal lawyers think it is not. And so in a lot of ways, even among lawyers, this is a Rorschach test of your political sentiment. But there are some commonalities in people's thoughts on this. First commonality is that lawyers are pretty much universal, thinking that the judge did not act prudently in regards to this undocumented person in her presence. The other commonality on the flip side is that everyone thinks that the FBI acted in a pretty high-handed way of arresting her at the courthouse, knowing that she would not be detained because she's not a flight risk, she's not a career criminal, and that just doesn't happen. So there's a lot of thoughts being shared about Hannah Dugan's situation across the legal community.
Yeah, Dan, overnight we learned that Judge Dugan will not be overseeing her cases, at least in the meantime. A reserve judge will take over her cases this morning. So what happens next in the process?
Well, having a reserve judge, judges get to take vacations too. In this case, she's incapacitated because of this legal proceeding. You can imagine the spectacle that would have occurred in the courthouse had she taken the bench, and the unfairness to people who were having their own cases heard before her. So she did the right thing and has decided to take leave while this unfolds. What happens next? The feds charge this case on a complaint, which is not the normal practice. They usually do that for someone who is fleeing or engaged in some type of violent act. Usually the federal government brings an indictment. It's a very deliberate process. They go before a grand jury. They present evidence in a ex parte, which means a one-sided hearing. They get the indictment and things unfold from here. Because they charged on a complaint, now they have to go back to the grand jury and get an indictment. They have about 2 weeks to do that, after which she'll have another court appearance, plead not guilty again, and the litigation will ensue. Under the federal system, she has a speedy trial right, just like anyone else. She could have a trial within about 3 months if she wanted to, but I expect this case will be highly litigated and take some time.
With that, Dan, how quickly do you think that we could see Judge Dugan back on the bench?
Well, that's a great question. Whether or not she ever decides to come back to the courthouse and resume her job remains to be seen. Again, I just don't think she would do that while there is a pending charge in federal court.
All right, a lot to come from this case, which is only just getting underway. Dan Adams, always great to have your insight and analysis. We'll see you next Monday for more of The Legal Landscape.